Dennis Staack, how are you, sir?
I'm good.
Good, man. Good. Thanks for coming all the way out from Caldwell.
Oh, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, that's good to know. Well, and you know what's interesting? The people that come for like the 9 o'clock interviews, they get stuck in like horrendous commuter traffic. But if you come in for like 11, you just cruise on through.
I just looked at my app and went, which way is the fastest?
The apps are good for that.
So it sent me down Beacon Light or something.
Yeah, that's actually, dude, hilarious. So when I moved into this area, it was January of 22, and part of the way to get to the house was going down Beacon. And love Beacon, by the way, like gorgeous setting, like it's everything that. I just really enjoy it. But at the time, my wife had never been to Idaho. We moved here sight unseen. She trusted me a lot. I'd been here for 48 hours. And we were driving up Beacon, and she was like, what is this? Which is like in the winter, in January, it's not like beautiful. And it's like a lot of dead trees and deciduous, right? That's what they are. Yeah. Sure. A lot of barren trees and like rusted tracks. She's like, where did you move us? Now she loves it.
It's usually not cleared if it's snowy either. So, you know.
Right. Like it was a thing. Anyway, so listen, you're running for city council of Caldwell. Why are you running for city council?
Well, so I know I've said this story a few times to people, but it was like 6 months ago. I was sitting here, I was complaining, and maybe I was complaining to the wrong person because it was Eric Phillips that I was complaining to. I was like, I'm like, this is going on. I didn't know he was running at the time. Right. I was like, this is going on. I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this. And he was just like, have you ever thought about going for city council? He's like, you got the opinion that a lot of people are hearing. And I was like, yeah, and I didn't really fully 100% like stand with what he was saying because I was like, okay. So I went and started asking people on my own just to get that, you know.
Right.
Yeah, mine. My, how do you say it? Make me feel better that it's not coming just from word of mouth. It's coming from some other people directly. But they were like, and a lot of people were like, yeah. And it was like instantaneously, I was like, maybe I should. And as we've discussed, you know, I'm a farmer. So, you know, I spent a lot of time sitting on tractors alone, nothing but Apple Music playing on my AirPods while I'm driving on a tractor for hours upon hours. Yeah. And I just was sitting there, and I remember one day just sitting there, and just all of a sudden I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And so I decided I just couldn't sit back anymore and just hear all the things that are happening that I don't always it's not that I disapprove, but I don't feel are in the best interest of community. I don't feel like are in the best interest of the direction Caldwell goes. And I mean, I'm probably, I sound older than I am when I say stuff like this, but there's times that it's like, I feel like I'm the grumpy old guy. You know, remember the Muppets when we were kids and you watched the old guys that were on the balcony. There's times I'm like, I remember when that used to be a field. And, you know, everyone's like, I remember when, how old are you, Grandpa? And it's just like, but just trying.
Gotcha.
It's the things that I see that I just don't agree with. I mean,
what are those things? Talk to me about
I was going to
say,
I don't want to go into those unless you were going to ask, but this works out.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because, I mean, nobody runs just for funsies. This is not an easy thing to do. It takes an enormous amount of time. You got to, you know, present yourself for judgment to the community, which is never a fun. It's like why dating girls is so hard. Girls will never understand. Like when you got to ask out a girl and you're like, will you please go on a date with me? Or like you got to say something funny or witty. It's like there's all this. And you obviously present yourself for judgment. And then she's like, fine, I'll go to homecoming with you. Or she's like, ew, no, you know, whatever I usually got. But the point is that like, it's a difficult thing to present yourself for judgment and criticism in the community. So nobody does it for fun. So why, like what specifically is happening that you want to get after?
I mean, like, why do I want to torture myself? Is that
a little bit, a little bit.
It's going in the direction of, I know some big ones. Like as I told you, I was listening to Weast before I got here, and I agree with some of the things that he said. The dirt lot was a big one. The parking meters. I know parking meters is a really sore subject for a lot of people. A lot of people, you bring it up, and they're just like, let's just not get into that.
Yeah, right.
Parking meters were definitely one that was interesting. I remember talking to businesses when it all happened. I was like, how much is this affecting you guys? And it wasn't from the standpoint of I'm going to run for city council.
Yeah,
it was just out of curiosity as a person, because it was like coffee shop. One of my wife's favorite coffee shops is Flying M down there, and she likes going down there a lot. I like one around the corner, Bond and Bevel, but we go to those places and it was like, they're so much emptier than they normally are. And it was that time of year where you're like walking around and you're like, there's less stuff here. There's less people out. And you were noticing it everywhere you went. It was just like, it's not normally this slow. And I mean, it was a big change, and it was very quick when they happened all of a sudden. It was like people, and then of course how they started with, we're starting them, but we're not charging for them yet. Gotten this whole, people weren't sure if they were supposed to be paying or not paying. And so you had people paying even though they didn't need to be paying yet, which caused other issues for people, but it caused a lot of people to not. And I remember asking employees, I was like, so where do you park if you don't pay for parking? Like I go to I go to Boise a lot. I understand how it works, but you're not allowed to feed the meter and things like that. I mean, I used to work as a runner for a law firm, and to go to the courthouse, you had to feed that meter every day for them, because attorneys would be like, hey, on your way to drop off this paperwork, put money in my meter for me so I don't have to move my car in between court times. And it was like, okay. So, but it was that kind of stuff. And they were like, oh, they gave us a spot, all the way over behind the movie theater to park for free. And it was just like, that's a walk for some of these people to, park over there and walk over here. And granted, I mean, we walk that far all the time, but when you're struggling to get employees, sometimes that's enough to make someone not want to go to work that day.
For sure. Yeah. And it's just that repetitive cost, right? It's like $1 here, $2 there, all day, every day. You're just like, oh, yeah. So I appreciate that. Yeah. And I think you are right. The parking meters became this really difficult subject. And I don't think I've heard anybody really defend the parking meters with the current batch of information that is provided. It's like, all right, that was a bad idea. Or all right, we should definitely, getting rid of them is the right thing to do. But the question was always like, why did they get put in the first place? Mm-hmm. And then, did people ask businesses and whatnot? So yeah, I think your sentiment and your boots on the ground kind of reflection is very much mirrors what most people have said. Yeah. The hotel, the dirt parking lot, right? Definitely
I'm so I did a lot of horse shows growing up, fairs. Sure. I can't even name everything that I parked there for. Bowling alley tournaments where you have to park all the way out there.
Were you a big bowler?
No, I just sometimes went, we talked about girls. It was one of those spots where you went to hang out. There wasn't a lot to do. I grew up in Middleton, which wasn't far from Caldwell.
I'm not throwing shade. I was bowling champion in my high school. Okay. Like I have a patch on my Letterman jacket right next to the wrestling is like bowling champ.
I was lucky if I ever hit triple digits in bowling, man.
Oh my gosh. I had my own ball. I still have it. I got it from like my 16th birthday. It was ridiculous. Anyway. Yeah. So like it's just a function of the downtown. It's like,
it was a place you went to hang out and things like that. Cause Middleton didn't have a whole lot back then. So, we went to Caldwell. So growing up, I was in Caldwell all the time. And when I got older, I mean, my wife and I, when we got married, our first house was off Arthur. I mean, I remember that first week living in that house, that train went by every night at 3:00. And for the first week until I got used to it, I slept horrible those nights. I mean, I remember being like, oh, he's sounding it just to make sure I can't sleep.
It's like he knows I'm here.
Right? And it would go off, and it was like, man, every hour at least. And it finally got to a point, though, where it was like, you didn't even hear it anymore. People would be like, man, that train keep you up at night? And you were like, what train?
What train? Yeah. And what's that line from Blues Brothers? It happens so frequently you won't even notice.
It's so long since I saw that movie.
Yeah. Anyway, so the bottom line is a figure for you, kind of in your life. And then, now it's a hotel.
Yeah. But, as going back to that main topic of what I'm doing, like it was the dirt lot. It was the parking meters. Some of it wasn't police per se, but like the SROs, like I know a lot of police officers, and I was talking to a couple of them, and I remember hearing things like, we're short staffed. We don't have enough this. We don't have enough that. And it was just the things that was like, you know what? And I don't know how much city council gets to control that kind of stuff. But I also know that if you go in and you make comments about it, maybe you can talk to the right people that have that say and help encourage that change.
Let's talk about law enforcement then. Like with a lot of all good. A lot of the problems that the Treasure Valley experiences do come from funding, right? You know, and be that where and anywhere, right? Boise got into a big thing with police department contracts, and you know, everybody's dealing with funding, and SROs are obviously no different. So, do you think that the Caldwell Police Department is sufficiently funded? Do you think that it needs more resources from the city?
That's a tipping scale, unfortunately, because, you know, whenever you say, yes, they need this, of course, that other side is there. And of course, you know, yes, they need more people, but that means they need more funding. And if they need more funding and they need more people, then you have to figure out where all that's coming from.
Yeah, right.
I mean, so, sorry.
You're good. You're good.
It's a tipping scale, but there has to be a way that we can, because the problem that we're really having with like police department goes back to all that infrastructure part that I've talked about before with people, which is we need a more flexible infrastructure. Our taxes are already kind of high on that residential side, and we don't have enough commercial in to support it, which helps cause that to balance out, which, I mean, infrastructure is supporting everything from the people that sweep your roads to the trash to police.
Sure.
And all of that at some point comes back on us, the taxpayers, trying to pay for it and make sure it's all taken care of properly. And the way that I hear it from people is they don't want to pay more, but they want more security. They want more things. I mean, there's people that are happy that Home Depot just came in to Caldwell. There's other people that aren't happy that Caldwell just got a Home Depot, because it's two sides. And as other people have already said, you know, you're never going to make everybody happy. You're either going to get these people that are really happy that it's here, or people that aren't. And you know, I do a lot of carpentry at home, so I'm for one a little happy it's there, just from the point of view that I have another store I can go to and get lumber, because it's always nice. But I didn't have a problem driving to the one that was already there, because my house sits right in that off Middleton Road, but in Caldwell boundaries area.
Gotcha.
So I'm in the middle anyway.
Gotcha.
So, but it's one of those areas. Like, do I feel like do we need more? I do. I feel like we're understaffed. I feel like we need more support. I feel like that's a tipping scale, though, as I said, because it's kind of going back to that SRO. Schools, I don't know if schools are, honestly, in my opinion, 100% safe, especially, and we're not going to go into politics on all of that, but
sure,
there's so much happening right now in schools. I mean, I've been a teacher since 2014, working in schools and seeing the things. I haven't gotten to experience it, and I really hope I never do, but every school has these, you know, this is what we're going to do. We're going to be prepared. This is what we're going to do. And every school, since I got injured in 2022, every school that I've just been doing substitute teaching since until this year, I hadn't even been released to go back to work full time. And then this year I got released to go back to full time, and I just continued to substitute teach for this year. And I figured I'd be applying for jobs next year, but off topic, back to topic, seeing all these schools that are doing these different types of setups, different preparations, different plans for what happens if the wrong goes wrong. Caldwell just let go the guy that kind of plans all that. Eric Phillips, he was the SRO director. He was the guy that planned all the planning, and he's now running for mayor. So, I mean, Caldwell's in a spot where they're going to be struggling even more, because now they've lost the guy that makes the plans.
Well, you're saying the school district, right?
Yeah, the school district lost the guy.
Not the city, yeah.
No, but school district. But I don't know how all of that went down. I just know that somehow the city helps pay for like some of what he did, and that impacted him as well. But
Gotcha.
Going back to SROs are still funded by the city, but they're in the schools, and that impacts the schools just as much. And that's part of the problem. I mean, you're going into areas where schools aren't going to be safe, and if something like that happened here, which I really hope it never does,
sure,
are we as prepared? And it ties into that. The police, do we have enough first responders? Do we have paramedics? Do we have fire departments? I mean, I know they say they're already kind of spread out a little bit, so we're already hitting that point. I mean, they say a fire, if a house isn't stopped in the first like 10 to 15 minutes, it's the difference between you have damage, but you have your house left, and the house is practically
gone.
It's gone, or to the point that they can't return anything. And so do we have enough fire departments at this point to be able to hit that timeline, or are we already at that gap where by the time they get to these further out subdivisions that are still part of Caldwell, are we at that point where we're not getting a fire department right away, and so these people are possibly losing everything? Because I would be devastated if I lost my house in a fire. I'm sure you would be too.
Oh yeah, it's terrible. I actually, the Hills fire over just north of Beacon got very close to me, like 2 months ago. It was wild, like watching it march on in, and everybody's driving away and the firemen are driving towards it. I was like, God bless you guys. It was a wild thing. So then it sounds like, what do you think about fire support and fire funding?
I believe that I do not know all the information on that one. I believe if we're lacking, we do need to make sure we have it. I mean, seeing what happened in California last year, granted, I don't know if the amount of fire trucks they could have sent in there could have done anything. I'd hate for that to happen here. And that's as we push houses closer and closer together, that fire gets easier and easier to just jump from roof to roof and roof. I mean, I remember, so I grew up in Middleton. I grew up in the old high school before it burnt down. And I remember I dated a girl that her dad was the fire chief of Caldwell back then. And I remember they came out and supported in that Middleton fire because it was so big. Middleton couldn't manage it alone. I believe they were still a volunteer fire department at the time, but Caldwell came over to support him. And I remember talking to him, and he was just like, we didn't even know that the upper attic spaces weren't spaced between. We thought they were closed off in between the sections, and they weren't. So they closed doors, thought maybe they had it, and the fire had gone past them.
Oh, they went right over their heads.
Yeah, so then they had to get out of there quickly because the fire had caught up with them. And I mean, that's the biggest thing that I fear with like everything. And I know since then we've done a lot of fire preventative measures. We make schools are more up to date. Everything has to have sprinklers. I mean, the school I grew up with had no sprinklers except for the brand new section. And they've done all that, but that still limits how much you can cover. And with police departments, I mean, whether you're going in the schools or homes, fire coverage, they still have to be able to get that 10-minute gap within. And that's not always the easiest thing to do, especially if, like, my fire department, I believe, is already 6-7 minutes away. So by the time they get on their boots, get the call, and get there, it might already be 10 minutes. And granted, we aren't going to be able to hit every house in that time frame, but it would be nice if we could find a way to make sure those are minimal numbers. And I don't know what that requires from us. I don't know where the boundaries are for what fire department comes to and what fire department doesn't. But it's definitely something to look into. And if I ever got elected to city council, that would be one of those things that, I'd want to make sure that I'm sure we already have all that drawn out, but talk to the right people, make sure this is being covered. And it might be a fire department thing where they just need to make sure that they're all dot, but maybe they need one more fire department right here, and that needs to come out of funding that the city pays for if it's in Caldwell or something, just to make sure that we have proper police response, proper paramedic response, proper fire department response, so on and so forth.
Talk to me about growth then, because one of the big aspects of growth is that you get impact fees that then can pay for, for instance, fire department buildings. They obviously don't cover the salaries for the fire department and the staffing and everything, but that is one aspect of where people are saying, look, like for instance, the Star Middleton Fire District has a new fire department that has been a fire station that has been built, but they can't staff it right. So talk to me about that balance of using funding to improve or install improvements like fire stations, but also having the problem with staffing.
So this isn't my area. Like I'm
sure.
I mean, you're asking me to sound like a manager in that area, and I might not be, but then
let's just focus on growth, right? Because growth is a big thing.
Growth is a huge thing, and I feel like growth isn't going to go down. I mean, at our debates just over a week ago, I mean, it was last Thursday, I remember, and I don't have my exact numbers in front of me at the moment, but we had in 5 years, we had a 12,000 growth. 12,000 people. That's not like Boise, which I'm sure has a lot more than that, but that's not small. And growth is going to impact everything that's happening. I mean, we're getting more traffic, and granted, they're doing construction to keep up with traffic, but I feel like 10-year plans are more like 3-year plans, because 3 years from now, they're going to be going, well, roads are already starting to get congested. We need to start planning for our next plan.
Right.
And so growth isn't going away. It's not something that's going to change in the next 5 years. More and more people are moving here. More and more people are coming out of big cities, whether it's Boise. I mean, my parents moved out to Middleton when I was in 6th grade because they didn't want to be in the town anymore. So they moved out to the country. It's happening. I mean, people are moving from bigger cities all the time. So growth isn't going to change. And as we continue to keep putting in houses and keep on putting in residents, whether they're outside of city limits or inside city limits, they're still coming into our city to buy necessities, groceries. They need tires. They need everything that is inside our town. Now, bringing in your, commercial, just forgot what just came. Home Depot just came in. D&B Supplies just down the road. 208 Tires is just over there. You got all your restaurants and your coffee shops. That all helps support that growing growth that we're going to get. But the problem that we have is with like taxes, all those people are moving in. It's residential. They're kicking out residential subdivisions faster than you can go. And once again, going back to that grandpa, I can still drive down the road from my house and be like,
was a field.
yeah, I remember when Sage Valley was a farm ground. But going back to all this, I mean, it's impacting. It's hitting us. We have 2 big grocery stores in Caldwell. Both of them are Albertsons. We have a smaller grocery store, which stays pretty busy from what I tell. You've got restaurants, which are, for the most part, from what I understand, getting pretty good crowds coming in and out of them. But we have this population without enough commercial to support that population. So, of course, when we do get population, where are they going to spend all their money? They're all going to Nampa. They're all going to Middleton, to Ridley's, or they're going to Star, or who knows where they're going. I mean, I know a lot go to Costco and buy in bulk. Yeah.
So you feel like there needs to be more commercial options to capture that economic activity?
We need it, but we have to plan it right. I went to a development, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, in June. It was the first thing that I got asked to come to. Eric Phillips actually asked me to come to it, to hear like their plan for the future with Caldwell. And it was the same guy that had come in like 10 some years ago. He was the one that helped plan Indian Creek Plaza and do all of that. And he sat down and kind of was like, this is what we had planned. This is what's happened. This is what we're still going to do. And I agree with some of the things he said. I don't agree with some things he did say as well, though, kind of it's all give and take. But we need more commercial, but we don't want to put it in the heart of town. We want it more on the outside of town, but we want it to be able to be a spot where it invites people in. They're still spending money, and Caldwell is making it more inviting for people to come to Caldwell, but not to the point where, we have a Home Depot on Main Street and First or whatever. You don't want it smack dab in the middle of town. With that said, I know his whole plan was all commercial goes on the other side of the bridge, which is where, Home Depot and Fred Meyer's is coming in, and Winco, from what I understand, are all planned for the future. D&B moved from inside Caldwell out of Caldwell. Well, not out of Caldwell, but over there into that other side. And of course, you're getting all these move arounds, but at the same time, you have all this commercial that's still coming in. And I think that's good for us because it's helping us give them more options. I mean, as long as you don't have a Starbucks and a Mattress Firm on every corner, I think we're safe. But going...
Mattress Firm. Yeah, man.
But it's that.
Just buy off Amazon. I've got some mattresses recently that are like these, 10, 12 or 14-inch memory foams. Just they come in a box. They work perfectly. Kids love them. That's just me.
I've heard great things.
I've heard great things. It's fantastic. They're great for like an extra mattress on bunk beds, right? Because it's like, I don't know why we're going to the mattress. Anyway, keep going.
You started it.
I know. I get so mad at mattress firms. It's like, oh, it's like $2,000. It's like, get the hell out of here. Like, are you insane? And then it's like, $200 off Amazon. Yeah.
And then 3 years later, you got to buy a new one.
You got to buy a new one. You got to buy a new one. It's such a scam. Like, I needed to be a mattress salesman or something. Like, that's clear. Did you know, I think it was Rodney Dangerfield sold mattresses for a while. He actually wasn't, he didn't find success in comedy until he was like in his late 50s or something. So like he was in and out, and then like kind of established the caricature of somebody who nothing ever really works well for, and was like bemoaning it. And that's where he's like, don't get no respect. And that's essentially the character that he presented that people could resonate with. They're like, oh, this downtrodden guy who's like, everything gets screwed up for him. And that's when he like super took off.
Now I know we're super off topic right now, but I do want to point out, could you imagine buying a mattress from some guy that's throwing out jokes left and right the whole time?
Like you walk in and it's actually Rodney Dangerfield.
And he's just cracking jokes left and right. Man, that would definitely be an experience.
That would be. It's like, oh, you're going to sleep like great. You won't even remember it because you're asleep. Oh, I just made that up.
Sounded like something he would have said.
Oh my God. I don't get no credit. Everybody's asleep when they're working on my. Yeah, I'm not going to keep going. This is terrible. Anyway, look, back to this. So bottom line is like there needs to be commercial to capture the economic activity of Caldwell, but it has to be placed appropriately.
Right. In our population, it's not going to slow down, but we can find ways to, it's not so much impede it, but we can slow it down at the same time. I mean, we don't have to, like if commercial comes in, those same lots that are right now, I feel like every lot you drive past, you're like, oh, that's going to be a subdivision. Oh, that's going to be a subdivision. And you see that where if you do a little bit, it's called flexible infrastructure. It's supposed to be flexible in the way that it's helping support one another. You're bringing in a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You're giving that little bit of that flexibility to all of it so that you're not just 100% residential and, not 100%, but like 80% residential, 20%. It doesn't need to be 50-50, but you need to balance it a little bit to help bring in those taxes because commercial pays a higher tax rate than residential do. Right. Residential mainly pay taxes up front on the house, and then we just pay that year to year, but it's lower. Where commercial come in, they pay, I don't even know the percentage off the top of my head anymore. Sure. I used to.
But they also don't use the same number of city services either.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So they help pay for some of that stuff.
Gotcha.
To help support us, so maybe we don't have to pay as much as well.
When you're talking about tax receipts and essentially getting more money in, Caldwell has done an amazing job with Indian Creek Plaza, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like the number of events, the economic activity, the kind of central hub. What can be done to keep building on and improving that kind of atmosphere in Caldwell?
Well, so once again, I was listening to Weist before I came in. I keep wanting to say his name wrong. Sorry. But I was listening to him, and it was like a lot of the things he said. It was like, yeah. But I mean, not grew up, but my kids go down there. They have that little fountain that you can play in the summer. We buy a pizza, sit down. Granted, sometimes like 110 degrees off those bricks, I feel like, but
that's what the fountain's for.
Yeah. It cools you off. Go have a slice of pizza, go back out, cool back off. It's fun. We enjoy all that. We think it's great that Indian Creek Plaza has really been, I know that a lot of people were like, when that one guy came in June, he talked about, when they started that, they were like, we want something like the Grove in Boise. They do a live after 5, and we want something like the Village in Meridian because the Village draws in all these big shoppers and things like that. They're like, we wanted our version of that, and I think we've got our own version of it. The big only thing that I ever worry about with it is I don't want to go too much like them. Keep it us. Keep it Caldwell. Keep it what Caldwell has done with it so far, I think is amazing. The skating rink, I think that draws in. I love the Christmas lights. I mean, that was like one of the first things I remember from when I met my wife. It was one of the first places we went was like, hey, you want to go see the Christmas lights with me? Yeah. We went and walked. It was a safe space. We could go walk around. Safe space.
It's hard to date these days. You got to be out in public, and it's got to be, man, I could not imagine. Like I met my wife when we were both in college. So like I had a lot of flexibility of being an idiot and always hanging out in large groups. So it's like, not that I was crazy, but it's like no obligation to like super impress because I was just 21. I'm like, no, man, like what you see is what you get, which is still the case. But yeah, like I have a friend who was dating in a really urbanized area in his late 20s and early 30s. He's like, it's a train wreck, like especially with all the dating apps and stuff. He's like, I would literally meet somebody after work and we'd be having a great time having a drink, and she was like, I gotta go, and he's like, oh well, I was going to order some food. Do you want to hang out? She's like, no, I got a dinner date. And he's like, oh, okay. She's like, you got the check, right? So what he found out is that there was this whole circuit of people on things like all they would have to do if you want to have drinks, you want to have dinner, and you want to have like dancing entertainment afterwards, all paid for, just like line up 3 different dates. So he was like the drink date that night, and then she had a dinner date, and then she had like a go out to the clubs date, and he was like, this is hell.
I mean, all she needed was breakfast and she was set.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm not buying your bagel. Could you imagine if it was like, let's meet before work for a breakfast date, and then she's like, okay, I gotta go. Like anyway, so you and your wife walking around safe
We
place.
walked around, it was good. Yeah, you got off topic.
Yeah.
Not me. But yeah, I love the things we've done. We have the farmers markets. We have all of these different venues that have come in and kind of used it. The only thing that I've ever complained about with Indian Creek Plaza is the floodlights at the Christmas bazaar sometimes take away from the Christmas lights experience. But
talk to whoever lines that one up. I'm sure you can get that taken care of.
It's fine. A lot of people don't mind it. Kids love going and shopping in it. But we just usually go more than once then. And,
Gotcha.
So we buy more hot chocolate. We buy more coffee.
Yeah, right.
You're set up.
Yeah. Oh, my God. So bottom line is you really like that, but you want it to maintain Caldwell's way. Instead of trying to be like, hey, let's be the Grove or let's be, Village, which is like gigantic infrastructure. Both of those are wild.
They're huge. And they've grown so much even since I was a kid. I mean, the Grove, I remember having that fountain and it was just bricks with a couple buildings around it to what it is now. I mean, it's huge, and you got buildings and bistros and restaurants and hotels and everything around it. It's huge. I don't want Caldwell to turn into that same thing at some point, and that's my biggest fear. Now, right now, I think we've done a great job. We've fixed up the old buildings. I mean, the buildings, you walk into some of them, you couldn't even tell they were an old building, and some of them have. I mean, there's a pub that's right next to it. The biggest thing that I've liked that Caldwell's done, and that happened just last year, and it's actually being put on by one of the bookstores, I believe, but they do this Find Waldo's thing. And you go around to all these different stores, and you have to find Waldo in them. And you walk in, you find Waldo, and at the same time, it's not only getting people out to,
engage in activities.
You're also getting people to see all these different places that they might not know about that are even going on there. And I remember talking to people this summer. Once again, I wasn't running at the time. I was just going around and talking to people because I was curious. And they're like, oh yeah, we're getting more people into our stores. People are buying stuff just because they're like, oh, I didn't know you were here. Because you have that little like strip mall that's like 3 floors, and some of it's personal business.
Sure.
But some of it's, I mean, there's a spice store. We didn't even know the spice store was in there until we went and found Waldo, and then it was like, oh man, and it was where
Waldo's really spicy today.
we'd gotten spices from there as gifts, because I coach my son's soccer league, and that was their thanks coach gift, and it was like, oh, I wondered where that was. And so it was one of those, and I mean, there was
these types of ideas. I'm enamored with Caldwell's capacity to organize things, and it's like organization and vision, right? The cardboard boat race, like the Where's Waldo thing, like. It's like, what's the cost of this? It doesn't even cost that much. It's just organization and the willpower to like get it lined up.
Cardboard Waldo like this, and you get people walking in with a piece of paper going like this. Now I'm sure everyone gets this because I might have done it to a few of them. I was like, hey, where's Waldo?
Yeah, they're like,
because they'd point at it because it was like I looked around the whole store. My kids are looking around the whole store. We haven't found Waldo yet, and it was like, hey, where is he? Because
I think they have something like that at Trader Joe's. Like if you find the monkey or the rocket ship or something. Yeah. So
I've never been in Trader Joe's. I'll be the first to tell you.
Oh, it's not bad. I haven't been in years. It used to be my go-to. It was like 4 minutes away from my house, and now it's like 20.
It's in Boise.
Yeah, but I'm not driving all the way down there. Like I can't. Let's just get into it. Okay, so like bottom line is like I think what you're saying is, look, we have some cool stuff. We just need to keep it going the Caldwell way.
We got to keep going the direction we're going. Right. I think we're doing great. Is there room for improvement? There's going to be people that say
Sure.
yes. And as you mentioned, the cardboard boat thing. I can't remember the name of it all of a sudden.
Cardboard boat race. Yeah.
There we go. That was amazing. I mean, we were going to go this year. Last year, seems every year we get sick just about the time it happens.
Yeah.
But we were going to go this year, and then one of us gets sick. The downsides of being teachers is the star school just hits you, and you're out of it. But it's those things. It's the things that make Caldwell unique from others. And I know some people, like my wife's from West Seattle. So I remember telling my in-laws, I was like, hey, they're doing the cardboard boat race. And they were like, cardboard? But, it's kind of like the people that you go, I'm going to go out and it's not flip cows. It's like, I'm going to go
tipping.
Yeah. I'm going to go out and I'm going to rotate bales of hay and things like that. And people are like, what? That are coming from bigger cities.
Yeah,
but
sure.
those are things that you have to do.
Yeah,
and
right.
here you say you're going to go do a cardboard boat race. And some of them look at you like, this is probably a really
sketchy thing.
Yeah. But it's fun. It's fun. I think it's great. It's something that you don't see a lot of places doing. I mean, a couple of years ago, Caldwell did this like whole Alice in Wonderland type thing where you came into town and you could do this walk thing. I mean, they did it's Capital Classic, but they did it in Caldwell. I don't know what they called it. It was like the Caldwell Classic or something like that. Those are things that are going to make Caldwell stand out from the rest. And I think that's the things that we need. We need the things that are unique to us that keep us Caldwell without being like, well, we did it, they did it, they did it, they did it, and
Sure.
everyone's doing the exact same thing. And it starts to blend in after a while, and it draws away from the uniqueness that makes Caldwell Caldwell. But we also need to be listening to the people. A lot of people have some amazing ideas, like the people that did the Waldo thing. That's a bookstore just in downtown Caldwell. They came up with that. I don't remember their name off the top of my head, but they started it. They went around, they found people. That's something that brings back. That's a community effort driven thing, and it helps the whole community, and at the same time it helps that bookstore. But it's still one of those things that makes Caldwell unique, because I don't know very many places that do stuff like that. And so we already have the things in that we could do, and the things to make Indian Creek Plaza even better. I know that they had plans to make it 3 times bigger than it even is right now. And I know they've talked about extending the walk path,
Sure.
and they've talked about all these other things, but there's buildings and infrastructure that they hadn't planned for that have kind of popped up in the way. And it's things that they'll have to work around if they want to keep going with this plan. I know the north side of the tracks is one of those things that they've talked about for the future of Caldwell. And all of that was brought up with this guy. Not all of it I agree with, but it's all things that are going in those directions of the direction Caldwell's going. And I think we have promising things going in our future, but we need to make sure that we don't remove our uniqueness from that.
Become something else.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
I know we're probably getting short on time for you.
But listen, I was just going to say, we've hit, EMS and police. We've hit development and growth. We've hit local and big box commerce. We've hit parking meters, hotel. Man, we've hit a lot of things. Is there anything for you that you feel like's hanging out there?
It's hard when you're put on the spot.
No. I appreciate
the main things I remember having to answer were in already answered. So I feel like we went over a lot of them. I can tell you the things that I'm kind of pro, and just that way it's being relayed. I'm agriculture. I grew up riding horses. I mean, I work on a farm. I'm not saying I'm against development. So if people hear that, that's not the direction I'm going. I'm not like, we will never build if I'm city council. Plus, once again, you're one part of a puzzle. You're not the complete puzzle. You don't get to, put your rubber stamp on everything and just say veto to it. I'm not against development. I just think we need to balance it out. I'm pro agriculture. We have so much infill around Caldwell that we could fill in these gaps that are already there instead of just expanding and annexing and bringing in more ground. Let's stop worrying about what farm ground we want next for another subdevelopment. They're going to happen one way or another. Developers are buying and building, and then they leave, and they're not affected at all because most of them don't live in our area that are building here. They just build and they get their money and they go away. They're not going to change their methods. But at the same time, we need to limit it where we can. Stop encouraging developers from buying, 40, 50 acres of ground and turning them into 10,000 square foot lots of housing for, 50, 60, 70 houses. I'm pro agriculture. I want the farm grounds stick around. We need the farm grounds to continue to take care of everything around here. I mean, it's a big deal. Growing up, all of that, it's one of those things. I mean, it's impacting. It makes me sad sometimes when I think about how much farm ground we lose in the process sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't think you're alone in that. Yeah. I think a lot of people, and I understand why too. Like, it's not like I even grew up here, but just in the brief time I've been here, I've started seeing things disappear, and you're like, oh. Well,
coming from where you came from to here, I mean, you saw it change in your time frame. I mean,
that's 100%. I remember before I moved, one of our neighbors, this guy Eric, he was a really cool guy. He had lived there for like 40 years. And the place I was living in, Danville, was very similar to Eagle. And he was telling me, he was like, yeah, man, like when I first moved here, it's like every Friday night you go downtown, it was just a bunch of ranch hands and cowboys hanging out in downtown Danville. And then, over the next several decades, it got all revamped. And now it's like, mom groups going out, hanging out with like Louis Vuitton bags and stuff. He's like, it's just totally different. So things change.
And we have to accept change is going to happen. But if we can control how much of the change happens and how much we can, it's not so much limit it, but be prepared for it. Plan long-term. Don't plan short-term. I came from military background. I mean, the biggest things that I learned between military and teaching, you can't plan short-term. You don't plan for, well, tomorrow we're doing this. No, you have to plan for what's going to happen later.
Right.
I was a special education teacher. I mean, IEPs are individual education plans. We plan a whole year for what that kid's going to do. If I'm elected in the council, it's not going to be like, well, and I'm going to use parking meters as an example because they were so brief. I'm going to put in parking meters, but then when it goes bad, we're done. Right. It needs to be more the direction of, let's plan this out. Let's make sure that this is going to be the best for the community that we're doing, and go from there and make sure that we're hitting the direction that the community wants, and not just putting out things that, we see as a positive, even though there was huge community against
pushback. Yeah.
And you're going to get it either way, but you need to be listening to community and what they're telling you. And that's a big deal.
I dig, man. Well, listen, I appreciate you. Thank you for coming in and expressing your positions. Running a campaign is not an easy thing to do, so I appreciate that you're doing that, giving the people of Caldwell an option. So good luck with your campaign, man. We'll do this again.
Thank you for the coffee.
Yeah, of course.